I'm DaJuan Johnson. Welcome to the Think Bigger Actors podcast, where I share with you different kinds of talks and coachings and conversations with actors and industry professionals on thinking bigger. I hope these conversations will help you on your path to success, because I believe success is an inside job that starts with your mindset and the thoughts you hold dominant in your mind. Change your thoughts and you change your world. Your path to thinking bigger begins now. Welcome back to the Think Bigger Actors podcast. I'm your host, DaJuan Johnson, and we are back. What? I mean, I know it was only like 2 weeks, but and not even a break. There was a mini-sode in there as well. But when I say we're back, it's because I'm so excited to be back in this chair. What a great episode we have today with Jon Snow, who used to be a reader in a pretty big casting office. Talk about being a fly on the wall or wanting to be a fly on the wall. The stuff we dive in today, I'm here for it, and I think you're going to be here for it too. But first, I'm in overdrive for the Booked and Busy Actors Retreat. The Booked and Busy Actors Retreat is finally here. We're about less than 2 weeks away. And, it's all over. It's all over social media if you've been following me. I've been talking about it on this podcast. I know I've been talking about it a lot on the podcast. And, of course, inside of my Think Bigger Tribe emails. Side note, if you're not on that list, go to thinkbiggercoaching.com and sign up, because I give insane free value and free tips and not tips and tricks, but just like up-leveling information in my weekly emails. And it's all free. So I don't know why you wouldn't be on that one. That would just be, you just go get on it, because it's some good stuff coming out there. So that's great. But, I just wanted to just share with you again over why do I do this retreat? I do it for you. And, every year it was my second year, but it's something I've wanted to do for a long time. And now it's like that thing that's just like, I want to help actors get back in the room. I know that these connections matter. I know that it's important for you to be back in this space. And a lot of you are like me, you love seeing people in person, or you love making those connections. And so it is really, really, really important. I also did it for me. Yes, I get to meet all these people and make my own personal connections with them that I have, and I get to deepen them, I should say. But I did it for the little guy in me that did not have this, and I wanted this. And I loved the idea of connecting with people in this way. And so I was like, I'm going to do this, what I want. So, don't be afraid to build what you need or what your little self needed. So I do that here. And of course, community. I do it for community because, in the room stuff is so important. It's like in real life. I know a lot of us, that are listening to this have not been in rooms, right? You've never been in rooms before. So that is okay. You're like, the connection I get is over Zoom and all that stuff like that. But that's okay. That's just another way of, doing it. Actors used to go on studio lots a lot more and, get picture deals and stuff like that. Times change. I understand that. But I think building community and finding your tribe in person is also amazing. And information. I used to think that information was power. That's what I used to say. Information is power in this industry. But what you do with that information is the real power. What you do with that information is the real power. So I think it's so very, very, very important. I want you to work more. I was going to say that. I want you to work more. I think that, everyone thinks there's a magic pill, but here's what I want to say to you. This is an industry based off of relationships and referrals. That doesn't mean those people that only know people make it. You can actually start off not knowing anyone and build relationships and, get referrals and stuff like that and move up and move up together. That's how I did it. But I am saying this is an industry based off relationships and referrals. I didn't know anyone in Hollywood when I moved here on a wing and a prayer, 20 years ago. Building these relationships and then knowing what to do with them afterwards, besides continuing to pester them with a monthly newsletter of how things are going in my career, that's important, knowing what to do with that relationship. So this retreat, I created it to help you skip the line. That's what I did. Help you to skip the line, to do all of the above that I just talked about, and more. This can be like somebody's saying, hey, these are all the relationships that I built. Connect with these people. You go. You run with that. And I think everybody was doing a little bit of gatekeeping when I was coming up. I think a lot of more people are open right now. I've always been open. I don't believe this is all just for me. I don't believe, all of it that I'm getting or these wins are just for me. I think I can share them just as fine. So So if you've been waiting for your sign, if you've been waiting for the last minute to grab your ticket, to drive in from out of town, this is your sign. Come on. We're less than 2 weeks away. You're going to want to be in this room because you're going to start hearing seeing the footage of it, and you're going to start hearing about it, and you're going to see it in the end, and people are going to be like, I went to the Booked and Busy Actors Retreat, and now I'm a series regular. I mean, that's what I hope people will say, but I'm not selling that. That is not the promise I'm making there, but I am saying you're going to have a lot of fun and build community and stuff like that. So I can't wait to see you there. I can't wait to see you there. Today's episode is brought to you by Casting Networks. Casting Networks helps performers find great roles and industry professionals find great talent. You can create a profile, upload your photos and reels, find an agent, and submit to thousands of projects. Your next role could be just a few clicks away. So for a limited time, Casting Networks is offering our listeners $65 off a premium annual membership when you use the code ThinkBigger at checkout. You can start submitting to casting calls right away. Terms and conditions apply. So visit www.castingnetworks.com/promo-codes to learn more. All right. You know nothing, Jon Snow. Gosh, I wonder if he gets that a lot. Listen, before booking recurring roles on Criminal Minds and The Rookie, Jon Snow, no, not that Jon Snow from Game of Thrones, but my Jon Snow. Well, I guess he's not mine. I guess he's Ariel's, but he's married. But Jon Snow spent hours in the audition room as a reader for a casting director. Like I said, a big casting director here in Los Angeles. A couple of them. I think he read in a couple of them. I'm not really sure. I should have asked him that. But in this episode, Jon shares what that experience taught him and, why the actors who are most present often stand out. That's important. Most present often stand out. And how over-rehearsing, can kill a moment and the small shifts that can make a performance land. I think that's really important. So he also pulls back the curtain on what casting is actually paying attention to. And spoiler alert, it's not only their lunch. The choices that quietly take you out of the running, he's talking about that, and how shifting his perspective changed everything about the way he auditions. I think I should have said the way he auditions and the way he books, because Jon pops up everywhere. He would think not, but he's working. I see him. I see you, Jon. I see you. So let's jump into the episode, and remember to stick around at the end for the D12 shot where I bring it all together. Jon Snow. Before we even get into it, how much crap do you get for your name? Like how much?
Not as much these days. Quite a lot. Back when the show was at its height, I thought I was prepared for it. When I was in college, the technical director at my college, I worked in the scene shop to work my way through college. And so I built all the sets for all the plays that we did. And he used to love to give me shit. He used to love to play chess with me. And he would always tease me and call me the bastard. And he kept telling me about these books that I needed to read with this character, Jon Snow. And I'm like, yeah, sure, Steve, sure. And after I graduated, I had 3 friends say, hey, you know about these books with this character, Jon Snow? And I was like, oh, all right, fine. Let me check this out. And so I read all the books and I was like, holy shit, I love this stuff. And it was really great. And then when the show came out, I thought I was prepared, but that was a whole other animal.
Whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was fun. It was fun. My favorite thing was a Postmates guy came up to me. I met him outside once, and as he's approaching, Lord Snow, he says to me. I was like, that's pretty cool. That was pretty good. Because everybody else just loves to yell, you know nothing. And I always say, yes, you're right. I do know nothing.
Oh, that was such a sweet scene, though. You know nothing, Jon. That was a great scene. So, I remember that as well. Well, you know what? Kids make fun of your name a lot. I used to go by DJ, and let me just tell you, last night a DJ saved your life. Everybody would sing to me all the time. So DJ I just
got us falling in love again. Yeah.
Yeah, right. You know what I mean? It's never ending. So I'm happy that I've grown up and I do use DaJuan now, sir. So, but you, Mr. Jon Snow, Mr. Actor, Mr. All-Around Good Man. I mean, you're everywhere, connector. You're doing the things. I wanted to have you on the podcast because you're like this well of knowledge, and the thing about it is people have to rub shoulders with you to get it. You're not like out
Mm.
there on a pulpit or on a soapbox, like, yelling it like your friend is. You are, when you have to sit fireside with you and it just all
Mm.
comes out. So
Thank you. I
would
appreciate that.
would you agree with that? Like,
Yes, I would because I am doing my best to be better at receiving those kinds
mm,
of compliments because in not too distant past, actually, I have had a hard time receiving that. So yes, I will accept that, and I do agree with that now. Yes.
yeah, it's good. It's good. We got so much to cover with you right now. We're gonna get into the acting part, the acting stuff real quick, but because
Sure.
it's freaking amazing. But I want to start with, you used to be a
Mm.
reader in
Correct.
offices, I mean, we're not going to say any offices or anything like that,
Right.
but
Right.
you used to be readers for casting directors,
Mm.
and I assume also like their callbacks or their as they went on and stuff like that. That is like gold, gold,
Ooh,
gold, 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 gold. I guess tell us about that job first. Tell us about like how you got it, and I mean,
man.
it seems so like elusive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially now, right? Yeah, it was. Listen, man. My first 15 years in Los Angeles, I was one of those actors who talked a lot about being an actor, but I
Hmm.
wasn't actually doing the work of being an actor. I
Yeah.
was hiding. I was hiding completely. And I didn't
Mm-hmm.
realize that at the time. But probably, so 2017 was when I got really serious about my acting career. That's when I became a reader.
Mm-hmm.
10 years before that, I had met a casting director who, again, we won't say the name,
Mm-hmm.
but this person was is one of the biggest casting directors in this business.
Mm-hmm.
And they and their family were at a restaurant that I was working at.
Mm-hmm.
And this person says to me, I was messing with them the entire time because I always had fun with my tables. I always messed with everybody. And at the end of that meal, this person says to me, "Are you an actor?" I say, "Yes." This person says, "Do you know who I am?" I say, "No." This person says, "Here's my card. Why don't you give me a call?" I give them a call. They bring me into their office. They talk to me. They say, I really like you, but I can't even look at you because you're not even union eligible. Puts
Mm-hmm.
me on the phone at their desk, sitting at their desk for half an hour with someone else. This person says, "I need you to tell Jon Snow everything he needs to know to become a union actor." I take all these notes. I don't do shit with it. Fast forward 10 years later, almost 10 years later, I have a friend who has been a series regular. He's been all of these things. I say, "Hey, I need to talk to you." He says, "Well, what if I put you in touch with this person? Same casting director." I said, "Yes, please." Within an hour, I have an email saying, "Hey, I am casting this show." It was actually a stage play in
Mm-hmm.
Canada, not even a
Mm-hmm.
television thing. And they say, "Why don't you come in and you can just watch?" I say, "Okay, great." At the end of that session, I just looked at this person and I said, "I will do anything. I will sweep your floors. I will file papers. I will do anything. I need to understand how this business works because I am terrified and I don't get it."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they said, "Well, you know what? We're going to get a show, I'm sure." This was December of 2016. "I'm sure we'll get a show in January. Why don't you come be our reader?" I say, "Okay, great." Next thing I know, there I was. And DaJuan, like you said earlier, I read everything in the beginning. I read everything from one line co-stars to all the way up to going to Fox and reading with the series regular people who were reading for series regular roles with Dana Walden and everybody else that was in the
Yeah.
room. Like crazy,
Yeah.
crazy experiences. So I've seen
Yeah.
it all. I've seen it all.
Which is pretty magical. But, before we get to that, I want to like just pick apart one of the things you said. You said that you were there's actors out there who are saying they're an actor, but they're not doing the work to be an actor. What
Yeah.
does that mean to you?
Just to put it very succinctly, a friend of mine posted something the other day that really resonated for me, which was everybody can be an ideas man, but it's in the execution.
Hmm.
Because for me, I was always, I really wanted to be an actor. I love acting. I'm a very good actor. And I was also terrified back then to show myself. As you love to say, you also have something very beautiful that resonates for me every time you say it. And I can't remember exactly how you say it, but it's something about like if you can't be seen if you're not, what is it? How do you say that? What is it?
You can't be a secret and a success.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And I was hiding and being a secret. So for me, that's what that meant. I would do short films. I would do little plays. Like I did a play at Sierra Madre Playhouse because people knew me locally. That's where I lived in Sierra Madre back then.
Yeah.
And they knew who I was. And I would just go and I would do these little things here and there. But I never had an agent. I never had a manager. I was one of the people who had this thing of, I don't need to be a business person. I just want to be the artist. And it took
Right.
me a very long time to figure out I had to marry those two things if I was ever going to do anything.
You almost had to let the business side take over, right? More
100%.
so than, the acting side. I'm on the fence with I think the business side, marketing, putting yourself out there is about 80% of what we really got to do in this
Yeah.
business.
Yes.
80% of what we have to do is that side that had to marry,
Hmm.
but I would say 20 or less is the acting part of that, right?
Yeah.
When we get to do it. The other part is getting ready, getting in the right door, marketing yourself, putting yourself in a situation where you can get Taft-Hartley lead and all those things.
Right.
That is literally the business. It is less on, the auditions. It is less on the bookings,
Yes.
and being on the show in my opinion, my opinion on that.
I agree with you 100%. And I think we have a mutual friend, I believe, in Angel Parker. Is that correct?
Oh yeah.
We can shout out Angel, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Friend of the show.
Angel has been on me. She was just texting me today because I had coffee yesterday with one of our castmates on The Rookie.
Hmm.
And she said, she texted me and I said, she encouraged me. She's like, you really need to hang out with him more. And I said, yeah, you're right. And I said, thank you again for that encouragement. She says, where's the pick? Where's the pick? Because she has been on me as well to say, hey, you've got to put all your stuff on your social. You've got to put this stuff up. As you say, can't be a secret and a success.
Marketing. It's
Yeah,
marketing. And
yeah,
I think a lot of actors, what we do is we come out of our universities or we come, from our towns or our cities and stuff like that. And we have the dream to just be an actor. I think that's wonderful. I'm a big person. I think you do need a dream. It fuels you. But I also want to make sure that you understand that this is a business. This
yes,
is a business. Those two things have to go together. If you come out here just with the dream, you'll leave. You'll crash and burn. And it's really, really, really important to say that business side. And what you're talking about, what Angel's talking about is that is important. So other people see you working, other people see you, with other people. It's like that is a good networking piece. And where is the pick?
yeah, exactly, right. But she's not
Yeah.
wrong. She's not
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's so gracious every time we're together. Let's take a pic together. Here we go. Let's make sure we post this.
Yeah. She gets it. She
She
gets it.
does. Yeah,
She gets it. All right. So we could be here all day because
we
I
could.
really we could. I know we could because I really want to I mean there's two other things I really wanted to unpack. I wanted to unpack the hiding part because I think that
Yes,
part also is really important for other actors. They're out here and they don't even realize they're hiding, right? They
yes,
don't even
yes,
realize they're hiding because you can hide everybody inside of an acting class for 5 years. You can hide, by not getting an agent or getting an agent that you just don't love, for 5 years. You can
yeah,
hide in plain sight. You know what I mean? So
yes.
I'm very curious about that, because what I heard you say at the top of this was I came out here to act. But if you came out here to act, then why were we hiding? Why did it take us 10 years when you had the information that was given to you? You know what I
Hmm.
mean? The
Hmm.
information was given to you and something clicked and you're like, that person I'm not going to listen to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm curious about those two things, hiding and those 10 years.
Look, it's just a matter of I was terrified. I was terrified to find out that I wasn't good enough. I was terrified to find
So,
out that I wasn't going to make it, that
yeah.
all of the things that I thought I was were not going to be true.
Hmm.
And if that was the case, then what did I come out here for? What did I commit myself to? Why did I spend 4 years in university getting a degree in the theater? What if all of this is wrong? What if I fail? What if I'm not who I thought I was? And I was so terrified of that prospect of finding out that I wasn't or that I'm not who I thought I was that I didn't even want to look at it. And it
Oh,
really is just a series of events of And one of those was my father passing away unexpectedly.
Sorry.
That made me go, holy shit, nothing's guaranteed. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know when or where or what. I need to make sure that if I'm going to do this, that I'm living the life that I want to live, because what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's those series of events culminating with my father passing away just became this big giant alarm clock saying, "Hey brother, wake up.
Mm-hmm.
Wake up." And also because my dad was one of the smartest people I've ever known in my entire life. And my dad was definitely one of those people who did not live up to his potential.
No.
And I don't want to be that guy. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to repeat the sins of my father kind of thing. And
Yeah.
so it just I think that that's what I do, and what I have to do for myself is, and I say have to, I don't want to say I have to, but what I
Get
do
to what you get
do,
to.
what I get to do for myself
Mm-hmm.
is I periodically sit down and I have a real come to Jesus moment with myself. Where am I? What am I doing? Are these things leading me down the road that I say I want to be going down, or am I sabotaging myself still in some way? If I am, then I think the ways get subtler and subtler as you get further and further along,
Mm-hmm.
because this thing up here is really wild at figuring out ways to be lazy and cut corners. And you've got to go, hey, hey, all right, where am I? Is this the
Yeah.
roadmap that I wanted to be on? And if it's not, then okay, let's make an adjustment. Let's see how I can move from there. And I think those periodic come to Jesus moments are absolutely necessary for all of us to just sort of reevaluate, say, okay, I'm taking stock. I'm going to be
Yeah.
really honest with myself. And then I'm going to get real about where I am and where I want to be.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Hands down. So we're back inside the casting room right now,
Yes, yes.
right? And you've gotten there, you are watching, actors audition. You're not auditioning yet like them, but you're
Correct.
watching them, you're reading with them. That's what, tell me some of the things. What are some things that you saw from the actors that were booking? We'll get to the ones that weren't booking. Like, what are some of the things,
Yeah.
again, we're not going to say any names. We're just going to be in generals
Of
here.
course.
You know what I
Of
mean? Because I don't
course.
want,
Yeah.
Mhm.
So things that really popped out to me in the beginning were there were some people who were you could just see that they were trying so hard.
Mhm.
And the ones who were just sort of relaxed and effortless with it a lot of the times were so much more interesting to me.
Yeah.
But I will say that I remember driving home one day. This was my big first epiphany, because honestly, they forget sort of that I was there in the room, and
Mhm.
they would sort of start talking about things. And it was the first month that I was there, and I remember a producer's session that we were in, and I hear them sort of whispering over there, and this woman was talking to one of the casting directors, and she says, "Who is this guy? He's great. He's doing better than the people we're bringing in." And I drove home that day and I thought, why did she say that?
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
wasn't doing anything.
Mhm.
And then a minute later, I said, "Holy shit, I wasn't doing anything."
Mhm. Mhm.
And it became very obvious to me that that was like I had stumbled on some gold with that.
Yeah.
But I think too that some of the bigger things were you don't know. I
Mhm.
didn't know, because DaJuan, I was with these people.
Yeah.
I cried with people in auditions. I was very available as an actor and a reader for these people because I wanted them to have that experience,
Yeah.
because I wanted to be there. I wanted to exercise and just have this fun with them as well. And I can tell you, man, there were times where I'm like, holy shit, man, we went deep. We went deep. And nothing
Mhm.
for that person. And every time I thought I had a good handle, especially as we got higher and higher up into, especially with the series regular reads, and I was, oh yeah, this guy's gonna get it. This guy's gonna get it. Couldn't have been
Yeah.
more wrong. And it
Huh.
didn't have anything to do with anything. It just, somebody didn't like them. Somebody, well, you know what, he's good, but let's find me three more guys. Okay, fine. Even directors being sort of aggravated at the higher up saying, no, this isn't good enough. Find somebody else, that kind of thing. So that was also something else that jumped out at me. It was just, you just don't know why somebody gets something. You don't know why
Yeah.
somebody doesn't get something. And in fact, sometimes, man, there are times when an amazing person will just happen to slip through the cracks. I
Yeah.
remember it happening, and they were looking for this one particular role, and I said, "Hey, what about this person?" And everybody looked at me and they said, "Who?" Because at this point I had sort of built up a little rapport, and they
Yeah.
sort of trusted me.
Mhm.
And they said, "Who?" And I said, "This person." And they looked this person up, and they're, "Oh my God!" And they said, "You're right. We totally missed that." And I said, "Fuck."
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
How?
an actor hearing that is like, this is why I stay in touch. You know?
I mean, but it's just you just never know. And
Mhm.
but just watching people, and there's no rules. There's
Mm,
nothing. You can't say this works, that doesn't. That's bullshit. And when I see
mhm.
people talking about don't do this, do that, or don't do that, and blue, it just drives me crazy because you got to own it. If you own it, you own it. And it doesn't matter where you go, what you do, how you act. I watched a dude who's been a series regular over and over and over again. You'd know who he was if I said his name. I watched this dude do something that I was told never to do in an
Mm,
action
mm,
scene where he fell on the ground, rolled around, popped back up with his gun, and was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "What the fuck just happened?"
mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Nailed it. He got the role. He got the role,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I couldn't believe it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, one thing we can be honest about here that I'll just say, as I've gone on with my experience in booking roles and being in certain different rooms, and you might can, agree with this or not, is that you do get a little bit more leeway after you've been on like a show or two, you know what I mean? Or
yes,
you've worked a little bit and they've already trusted you, somebody's already vetted you for a
yes,
bigger, like if I've come in there and I would never use a gun, but if I came in there and I did some of that stuff
right,
because I was just on
right,
a cop show, they wouldn't be like green, you know what I
right,
mean?
right, right, right,
There's like, no, we
right.
don't use props. But if somebody else came in
Yes,
there and they're fumbling with that same prop, do you know what I mean? It looks,
yes,
it's like, just put the prop down. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So what I'm saying is, as you go on, you have an opportunity to, I guess, do a little bit more, be a little bit more.
yes.
And I wonder, if you could just be and do that in the beginning, but no, I don't think so.
Well, I think I mean, listen, I think it depends on what you bring. Because if you really own it and you're very comfortable and you're
Yeah.
confident and this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the other things that was very impressive to me. The people who were so interesting and were the people who didn't ask for permission.
Mm.
The people who would fuck up a line and then say, "I'm going to take that again."
Yeah.
Rather than the people who were green, I would see all the time go, "Oh, I'm sorry. Can I
Mm.
can I do
Mm.
that? Can I start
Mm.
over?" And
Mm.
sometimes if they had the time, they'd say, "Yeah, no problem." But I'm telling you, when there were days where we were busy and we had, 20 actors getting ready, they would be like, that's we're good, we got it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think you just got to own it. You got to be confident. You got to come in and just, here's where I am. And if you do that early on, I think you can get away with it.
Yeah.
It just depends. But yeah, got to
Any
own your shit.
Yeah, I love that. Got to own your shit.
Yeah.
Any like knee jerk things that you saw that are absolute no nos. Let's not use the word absolute. Let's not use the word absolute.
Yeah,
But
I
are but
can't
are
say
no right.
absolute.
We can't use absolutes.
Yeah.
But let's use the word that are for this office, which can be any office.
Yes.
That were no nos that actors were doing because I think this is important. I just don't know if there might be none. You know what I mean? Don't light a cigarette. We know. You know.
Right. Well, yeah, right, right. I would say in general, and I'm going to say this even after reading your email that went out this morning. In general, you don't want to bring a bunch of props to the thing. I think what you wrote about though today, I think is brilliant. Like again, that's your space, that's your time. And that email, just so people know what we're talking about, you talked about grabbing a pen off of a desk and you weren't sure if you should do it or not. And I say, absolutely you do
Yeah,
it.
I just did it.
This
I
is
committed.
this is my pen now.
Yes,
You're in
yes.
my space. You're in my house. This is my pen.
Yes.
And so absolute no-nos, hard to say. I mean, especially now that we're mostly, as you point out brilliantly all the time, we are really in the self-tape game. You can get away with a whole lot in the self-tape
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
In person, it was a little different. I mean, look, I had a guy, again, wonderful actor, slap me across the face. And he apologized profusely afterwards. And I think he was even embarrassed, but we had read with each other quite a number of times at that point, so we had a little familiarity and we always
Okay.
had a good time together. And when he slapped me across the face, it worked. It worked for the scene, and I didn't get upset. The casting directors weren't upset because I wasn't upset. Typically, though, you don't. If you're in a live room, don't touch anybody.
Don't do it.
But don't
Keep your
bring weird
distance.
props. But I think if there is a no-no, it is not necessarily a no-no in terms of no-no sense, but more of a be mindful of the energy you bring
Mm, mm,
because you will win or lose. I don't want to say win or lose.
mm.
You will book or not book an audition
Yeah.
just based on the energy that you carry
Mm,
into the room and carry out of the room. Because if they see you beating yourself up on the way out, I can
yeah.
tell you so many times
Yeah.
people would deliver fantastic performances, but they're in their head, they're beating themselves on their way out the door, and you could feel it, and the energy just in the whole room just dropped. And I think that hurts their
Yeah.
chances.
I think it does hurt their chances because if somebody is well, what's happening for you is like you didn't get sometimes when I'm in those rooms before, even for callback right now in this virtual world, if we have virtual things happening, if I didn't get that, you booked it on the callback or, another adjustment or something like that, then my mind goes to, oh, fuck, then I didn't, I sucked. I guess I sucked.
Yeah.
But what they're thinking is they're talking amongst themselves, right?
Hmm.
They're talking amongst themselves. And what I know to be true is if I'm looking at you being dejected instead of walking out with your head up, held high, and doing
Yeah.
that shit in the car, you're gonna make me second guess.
Yes. Right.
You're making me second guess my
That's right.
choice
That's right.
because are you the guy that I want to put on a billboard? Are you the
That's
guy
the
that I
thing.
want to, are
Hmm.
you the guy that we're going to have in the trailer or whatever it is? And that's the part where we go back to like people need to realize this is a business. This is
Yes.
a
Yes.
business
And
over and over and over.
also, I would even say more importantly, perhaps, DaJuan, is this the person that I want to spend five
Right?
days a week,
Yep.
12 hours a day with for months on end or not?
Yeah.
And that energy dictates how you represent. So don't be weird with the casting directors.
Yeah.
Be kind, be courteous, but also be short with it and just
Yeah.
do your thing. I mean, there was one guy I remember who he came in, and if he when he felt good, especially he when he would finish and leave, he'd be like Chaka Khan, and I thought that was so great. I thought I need to find my own little catchphrases
You
as I
do.
finish
It's
stuff up.
great.
Like I love
And
that.
just so anybody that's listening to this, I think how we do this in the world today is we have virtual auditions, first calls, and now you can get they do sometimes splits. 911 did it are doing it. I know other casting agencies, casting agencies.
How
I
long you been
saw
doing
that.
this?
I saw that for the first time somewhere, and I was like, I remember thinking like, what is a casting agency? Casting, directors. I was like, what is it? Anyway, so they're doing it, but I think the most important thing to take away here is, when you're doing these callbacks, when you're doing these virtual spaces, that like just remember to keep your composure until you hit, in meeting or leave the meeting or something like that, because you
Yes,
just
yes.
never ever 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 know. I think those are great 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 things. You know what I mean? I read for one woman for Notorious B.I.G., like one casting
Hmm.
director, like a long time ago, and it was just fun. It was amazing.
Yeah,
I won't
yeah.
say anything about the people that came in, but it was like the who's who of who in Black Hollywood came in, and
Hmm.
I was just floored by what I was seeing, and it
Yeah.
was so amazing. But also, a lot of them didn't have choices already. They just came in and they were themselves. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And they were
Yes.
themselves, which was great. Sometimes that works, but sometimes you might have to go out and get somebody. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You might
Yeah.
have to go out
Yeah.
and get a character a little bit. So, like I've never played a detective, so I got to go out and learn how to, use a gun or,
Right.
flash a badge and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
other parts are still
Yeah,
really
and
needed.
I just wanted to just one more thing that I would
Hmm.
add is just remember that they I mean I know everybody says it, but it is so true. I saw it so many times in person. These casting directors, by and large, man, they want you to win.
Hmm.
They love actors. I mean, all the casting directors that I had the
Yeah.
privilege to
Yeah.
read with, they love actors, man. They love
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
So you gotta know that. You gotta and also
I-
don't over prepare. Like don't be so rigid in your read that they can't redirect you. Because I saw that a lot too, where people would give a great performance. They say, "Okay, now try this," and that person would give the exact same read, even though that was powerful in their first performance. Not being able to be directed was really, it hurt them a lot.
That's good. I'm going to push back on that one. In the language. You ready?
Okay, yeah, please, please.
I
I love
think
when you do this to me.
I think it's not about over preparing. I think there's never been somebody who says, "Oh man, I knew it too well. That's why I didn't get it." You know what I mean? But I have heard
Yes,
people say, I don't know it. I didn't know it. I didn't know it as well,
yes,
and
yes,
that's why I didn't get it." What I think you're saying here is be malleable. Be
yes,
malleable,
absolutely.
be able to take a note, be
Yes,
adjustable, right?
yes,
It isn't about over preparing. It is just you're not wanting to let go of your choices. You're
correct.
just wanting to stay in control about what they're doing. So what I
Yes.
do on that sense is I have a friend just talk to me monotone. I have a friend just talk to
Mm,
me, like throw another note at me. They say, so that it gets in my body and it happens. And if it happens, happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I
right.
don't think it's over preparing. I actually think actors can prepare more.
I agree with you. Yes, I agree with you on that. Yes, and like I said, I do love when you call out my language and say, "Hey, I'm gonna reframe this," because you're always spot on.
I think so. So, but
Yeah.
all of us, we're not like, oh, I knew that line too well. It's
Yeah.
it's
Right.
it's like, no, I didn't really get under that line. I really know and so
Yeah. You're right. You're right.
and here's the thing I want to say, because I say that right now on this podcast while we're doing this, is because there are people out there that are telling actors not to know their lines, John.
I
There are
know.
people out
I
there who are telling
know.
actors they don't need to learn their lines until they get on set. There are people out there who are telling, actors that when you get to set, you can be loosey goosey. And I have been that actor, and I have a good body of work, you all. I have a very good body of work. And I was on NCIS, and I said something like, we didn't have the documents, and something like that. I said, we didn't have the documents. And I said, we didn't have something. I can't remember what it was. What I left out was the. I left out the part, and they came and they were like, "DaJuan, you keep leaving out the. We need you to put the
Mm, mm-hmm.
the." We didn't have the evidence to hold them. That's
Right.
what we didn't have the evidence to hold them, and I said we didn't have evidence to hold them. Just that, took that out. We didn't have it. And I was just like, so I'm telling you, you don't want to be in a situation where you can't be malleable. It's like, great, got it, thank you. And then I can just go, and it's not going to like spiral me on set. It's not going to be like they hate me on set. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, sorry, I forgot and let's move on. So it's a lot of people out there, I believe, John, that aren't working the way you're working. You know what I mean? That
Hmm.
don't understand that, like, we need you. It might need to be verbatim. And same way
Right.
on Bosch,
Right.
by the way. Same way on
Yeah.
Bosch, they wanted it.
Yeah.
And so
I
when
think
you have
yeah, it depends on where you are and what they want, right? But
yes,
yeah, because I think on the rookie, I ad lib shit all the
yeah,
time, and they're like, "Yeah, great, no problem," you know.
it's a
But
dramedy though, isn't it? It's a
yeah,
dramedy.
right, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's Nathan. Like, if that
Yeah,
guy's ever completely off book, word perfect,
yeah, it's great. It's
he's
great.
so off the cuff. So yeah, it just depends on where you are. You're right. Yeah.
I think so. But like it's also one of those things as I work on this Disney show, the sitcom, like again, I was always told you can have a lot more fun in ad lib, with comedy. Uh-uh.
No. Okay. Cool. Good to know.
But I wonder if it's like, again, it depends on the director, it depends on the
Hmm.
situation. But if your standard should be know your shit.
Know
That's
it
all I
front and
want.
back.
That's all I
Say,
want
know
to
it in
say.
your sleep. Yeah.
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 Know your stuff. And if you're told I can play, then go play. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Then go
Right.
play. But know your stuff. That's just my
Yeah.
my, my take on that whole thing. Hey, it's DaJuan, and I want to talk to you actor to actor. If you've been grinding, auditioning, taping, and still wondering when it's finally going to click, I created something for you. It's called the Booked and Busy Actors Retreat, and it's happening August 22nd through August 24th right here in Los Angeles. And this isn't just another event, it's a reset. 3 days in person here in Los Angeles. And the room, it's going to be filled with casting directors, agents, working series regulars, and actors like you who are done playing small. You could be one of the actors who gets their self-tapes reviewed live. You could be one of the actors sitting across from reps in a mock meeting. And no matter what, you'll be creating, connecting, and walking away with a roadmap that's built around the work you put in that weekend. No more DMs into the void. No more wondering if they saw your tape. No more feeling like you're doing this all alone. And let me tell you, last year, actors called this retreat transformational, generous, the most real actor experience they ever attended. And this year, you know we're going to go even deeper. We'll work on mindset, sharpening your craft, and making sure that you walk back into this industry, you do it with confidence, clarity, and a circle that has your back. This is where you stop waiting to be picked and start showing up all like you already booked it. So go to www.bookedandbusyactorsretreat.com to claim your seat. Again, that's www.bookedandbusyactorsretreat.com. Seats are intentionally limited, so if this sounds like your next move, trust that feeling. I'll see you there. Okay. I want to know everything about this room because you are our mole. Yeah. You're our mole. You're our mole. So what are the series regulars doing? Because everybody wants a coveted series regular role. What are they doing that may be a recurring guest star or a co-star or somebody? What are they doing or bringing that really sets them apart to be bookable, if that's a question? You know what I mean? Like, because everybody wants to get this series regular thing, right? And so you've been in rooms with them while they say yes. You've seen them audition. So
I mean, I've gotten to act with them. It's a wild thing. And I think, again, it just comes back to knowing who you are and owning your shit. And listen, I think all of us, probably to some degree. In fact, I'm going to say all of us to some. I feel very confident saying this because one of the biggest actors I ever got to read with talked to me about his insecurity. Yeah. And I looked at him and I said, I'm sorry, what? Are you serious right now? And he said, yeah, absolutely. I think it's just, this is what I am. This is what I do. And I'm going to paint this picture for you in this scene. If you like it, buy my painting. If you don't like it, well, this is what I paint. And somebody else is going to buy it down the line. And then just also not being afraid to take up space, take up time. Again, especially, and you can speak to this from experience much better than I can, but it always seemed to me as we got higher up in the echelons of casting that there was much more leniency for actors to take space and time in their auditions, to really let things land. And, I worked with somebody who didn't want to move on unless they felt the line I was giving them as the reader was being honest.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of level of leadership I think that it takes. Because again, like you said, do I want to put this person on a billboard? Are we going to show them on buses? And why are we going to be able to do that? Because this person is so comfortable in who they are and what they do as an artist. And they're not trying to put anything on that I can go, oh, okay, yeah, I can set this whole show on DaJuan. He's perfect. DaJuan is the character. Yeah. My neighbor across the street, I was helping him with this audition. It was one of the procedurals with lots of wonky jargon. And he had a buddy, and this guy's been in the game for, 30 years or more. One of his buddies came over, and again, somebody you would know. And he was working with him as well. And it was really fun. The three of us just sitting in his living room, just working the shit out of these scenes. And his buddy says something that just hit me so hard, which was, he looked at it and he goes, look, man, I don't care if you look down at the paper, because he was right on the edge. He was right on the edge of the page limits that they give us now. He's like, I don't care if you look down at the paper. He's like, look, you're either the guy or you're not. Just do the damn scene. So if you can get to that level of comfort of saying, I'm the guy or I'm not, and I'm going to do the work that I do, I think that's the only thing that separates. Because again, when I was 90% or more certain this person's going to book this series regular role, I was always wrong. I never got it right once. Not once. So I think it's just, you're not apologizing.
You don't become a producer. You don't become a producer.
Right. No, but I think when you get up to that level, DaJuan, you know this. When you get up to that level, anyone if you're in that room, you can do the job. You
Yeah.
wouldn't be in that room if you couldn't do the job. So you've
Hmm.
got to know that. And Walt Goggins said something that I thought was just absolutely brilliant, where somebody asked him about, being insecure, questioning, him getting stuff. He said, "Yeah, I'm insecure, but I never question that Walt Goggins is the right guy for the role, because Walt Goggins is always the right guy for the role if I got the job."
Yeah.
And I think that's a brilliant way to put it and the way to approach things. There's really nothing different. I don't think there's
Hmm.
anything different between, going from a co-star level to a guest star level to a recurring to a series regular, other than you just taking that journey through your own. And it's all mindset.
It's mindset.
It's just you working your way through that journey. I think that's the hardest part of the journey. If you're an actor and you've done your job, you've done your homework, you're in class or you've been to class, you've got a theater degree, whatever, like you've got the toolkit. It's just a matter of, can I get my mind to work through all the other obstacles that are going to come my way and just be comfortable with who I am. And that's something that I struggle with and work on every single day. I work on, like, that's always okay. Where am I struggling? Where am I feeling like I'm not enough in this particular moment or in this particular role? And can I just let John come out?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when I let John come out, it either works or it doesn't, and I live with the consequences.
Yeah.
You know.
I think a lot of actors just think, if I'm John, if I'm DaJuan, if I'm Raquel, if I'm that person and they still don't pick me, then what? Then that wasn't your role, everybody.
That's right. That's
Then that
right.
just wasn't your role. Like there's nothing, I have not met one actor that has booked every single role they audition for. It's just part of the business.
Yeah.
And there's some of us have more no's than others, and
Yeah.
it's just part of the business. So
And it's
I,
not personal. I mean, listen, unless you're a terrible person, I can guarantee you it is never personal when they say no. It's just about fit. And it may not, and the fit can be the dumbest reason in the world because you're 5'7" and the lead is 6'3". You know what I
Mhm.
mean? You're the best 5'7" actor that ever lived. But because the lead is 6'3", sorry,
Mhm. Mhm.
we can't do that. I
Yeah.
mean, it could be the dumbest reason like that. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen it.
Yeah, me too, brother.
I've seen it when I was on the other side, and I was like, one guy came in, and he didn't know his lines really well, and I was like, this guy's out, and they were like, no, but he was the character. I was like, what?
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
what? And they were like, no, but he's the character. Yeah, we're definitely calling him back. And I was like, mind blown. But that doesn't mean for me, I go in and try, and everybody listening, now I don't like go in and think like I can do it that way. That's his way. That was the way he like could do it. Me, I still need to learn my lines and then I can play that way.
Yeah,
You must
yeah.
find what works for you. And so it sounds like this experience inside of the being a reader helped you as an actor. How
Oh
how
my
would you put that in
God.
words? How would you put that in words?
If I could trade the 5 years that I was a reader for the 4 years that I spent in college learning how to act
Mm,
and
mm,
be a better actor, I would have traded that in a heartbeat because
wow.
that was the best education I've ever received. Um, you know, I don't know, man. It expanded my mind so much and it also gave me the confidence. Just, and I think I think it's any skill. I think it's anything that you do, anything that you practice, anything that you repeat over and over and over for good or for bad, depending on what you're doing. So again, having these come to Jesus moments with yourself and going, wait, am I reinforcing the bad or am I going for this good on this side? And, but whatever you do and repeat and practice is going to breed confidence always.
Yeah.
And it's just, you've got to put in the work, you got to put in the hours, you got to put in the repetitions. You can't build a muscle by thinking about it, although I suppose you can. There is there's some proof that you can actually build a little muscle by by using your mind.
Mhm.
But you know what I mean? Like you've got to go and put the time in.
Yeah.
You've got to put in the work. And
Yeah.
that's it. Just I would have traded those 5 years for my 4 years of college every day of the week and twice on Sundays.
Well, I mean, it definitely shows because I mean, we got the recruit out of it, we got
Yeah,
the rookie out of it. I mean, we're
yeah,
getting all
yeah,
these shows out of it. You're booking like
yeah.
you're like having a lot of fun there.
I am having a
When you
lot of
popped
fun.
up on the recruit, I was like, wait,
Yeah, yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, I don't remember
yeah.
him saying anything about that. You know what I mean? You know, so how was
Yeah.
that experience about that? Like, how was that experience being on that major Netflix show, but
Yeah.
also maybe even like tell us a little bit about that self tape experience.
Well, it wasn't a self tape.
Oh,
So the whole reason I got on the Rookie in the first place was because I was being a reader and I was asked to go do the table read for the execs at Disney for the first two episodes. And we did the first episode, and the casting director said, "Hey, I talked to the showrunner. He wants to try to find something for you." I said, "Okay, great." Second episode we read at Disney, and again, like this it's like doing theater. I mean,
yeah,
there's 60 people in the room. I blew my mind. Um, and we do the second episode read for the execs, and the showrunner comes and finds me. Hey, I told Carol, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to find something for you on the show,
yeah,
and followed through. Because of that relationship and because of that trust that I built with the showrunner, I get a call. Hey, he wants to have you do the table read for Netflix on Zoom for the first four episodes of The Recruit. Okay, great. And instead of reading the stage directions, which is what I did the first two episodes of The Rookie, he gave me like, I want to say seven roles to read, seven different roles. And I was
hmm
like, hell yeah, let's go.
yeah,
And I played, brother. I played and I made
hmm
every one of those characters distinctively different. And
yeah,
I just had a blast over the course of 2 days because we read two a day.
mm.
And 2 days after we finished that, I get a call. Hey, you got this role on the Recruit. Oh, sweet, great. So there was no tape. It was because of
Yeah.
the trust and the relationship and the rapport that I had built by being someone that they could count on to come in and be like, boom, let's use Jon Snow for this.
I would also add that it's because you put yourself out there.
100%.
You know, you
Yeah,
put yourself out there. I keep saying this season on the pod is that nobody is looking for you on your couch.
man, ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth?
You know, it's just like we gotta. You have to put yourself out there. You gotta like. If you weren't in those offices, you know, getting up and showing up. I'm sure there are what do you call them? Readers who've been fired before. Do you know what I mean? Readers
Yeah,
who don't.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's a little bit more also of what you've been doing too. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
that's pretty great. But you're also recurring on the Rookie now. I mean, like it's
I am.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
that turned
fun.
into a
And
long.
he and I was in the first two seasons. I wasn't in three and four. I came back in five and magically was changed from a sheriff's deputy in season one and two to a cop in season five, just so
Nice.
that they could bring me around and have me be around more. It was a
Yeah.
little easier for me to be a cop in the station rather than a sheriff's deputy because it's a show about cops, not
Yeah.
deputies.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. They need more
yeah,
cops and
yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah.
So what do you think? What do you think? It sounds like your journey as an actor has been hiding,
Hmm.
deciding not to hide, deciding to
Hmm.
show up, putting yourself in there. There's like this big research, big information period where you were in the rooms, and then you took all of that and you start applying it out
Yeah.
there in the world. And you know, whether Recruit, whether it was other shows, like how do you feel right now as an actor? How do you feel?
I feel great, man. I feel really, really good. I feel like I know who I am. I feel like I know what I bring and what I do.
Hmm
And I feel much more confident in saying, this is me. And
hmm
this is how I paint. And
Yeah.
that's something that I didn't do before. And I don't listen, like I said, I think we all have an actor brain that wants to go, oh, did I get it? Did I do it right? Did I do that? And I think that's just part of the journey. But I think that I am much better now at just going, it's okay, buddy. It's okay. Calm down. It's going to be okay. This is
How'd you
ours
get
or it's
there?
not.
How'd you get there?
A lot of hard days, brother. A lot of hard days of beating the shit out of myself and finally realizing that that doesn't work and life is going to beat you up on its own. You don't need to help it. And you've just got to figure out how to make sure that you're protecting that. That's the most sacred space, man.
Yeah.
There's for me, it's a lot of stillness. It's just a lot of reflection. And it's just me, like I said, just taking inventory on a regular basis. And also, I don't listen. Another thing that you say that I think is lovely and it resonates. I hear you in my mind,
hmm
DaJuan, so often you have no idea. saying if you change your thoughts, you change your life.
Mhm.
And so it's just a matter of catching yourself and making it a practice to catch yourself when those thoughts aren't serving you. And it's like when I have to take something to somebody, for example, and I think, oh, I'm going to put it on the table right here by the front door. And I get out and I get to somewhere and I think, oh shit, I forgot that thing. I'll get it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I'll forget it again tomorrow, but I'll get down the street and I'll be like, oh shit, I forgot that thing. And then, I'll get around the corner and I'll be like, oh, I forgot that thing. And then the next time it's like, I'm about to walk out the door and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to forget that thing this time. And it's just that kind of practice of it takes time and you got to be patient with yourself. I mean, that's how my experience has been. And just, can I catch myself faster and faster and faster? And pretty soon, hopefully, the goal will become that as soon as it happens, I'm just like, oh, I got you, buddy. It's cool. We're good. We're good. We're good.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And, anybody, I work a lot in mindset and I talk a lot about what you're talking about. And what I just might add for anybody else, because I love what you said, I like to catch myself a little bit faster because
Yeah.
that is the key. Everybody
Yeah.
wants to know, well, what if I don't, what if I'm down the spiral? I mean, am I already cool? Maybe
Yeah.
today you went to a level 10, but tomorrow you might go to a 9.5. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Where you catch yourself and you
Yes.
might go to a 9.
Yes.
Everybody wants to go from 10 to 1, and that is just not practical.
Yeah. Right.
And so if you can catch yourself a little bit faster when you're in those moments, when you're in those spirals, I think it's key. And so it's
Yeah.
really important that you said that. So I just wanted to highlight that.
Yeah. No, listen, I mean, look, I'll say this. It's just a cultivation of awareness.
Yeah.
And because this is another saying that I really love is because once you become aware, it's no longer a habit. It's a choice. And if you're choosing that thing, if you're aware of it, you're now choosing that thing. It's not just, oh, I'm on autopilot. I didn't know I was doing this. You will find yourself spiral and like, oh shit, I didn't realize I was doing this. But as soon as you become aware, now it's a choice. Do I want to stay in this space? Do I want to feel sorry for myself? Do I want to feel like I'm a victim? Or do I want to go, hey, I don't have to carry any of that shit.
Yeah.
I want to be happy today. Why the fuck would I want to be happy today? I want to be happy. I want to feel good. And that's been my practice now. And dude, I gotta say, I feel pretty good. I feel like it's going pretty well.
I like it. I'm here
I'm
for
a
it.
human. I get my shit. Don't get me wrong, but
I'm here for it.
yeah.
So what would you say is the hardest part about being Jon Snow in this industry?
The hardest part of being Jon Snow. Listen, man, that's a difficult thing when you phrase it like that, it's difficult for me to say because I don't know. I don't feel like I have a hard life. I feel very
Good. That's
blessed.
great.
And again, something I don't know if you watch Shrinking. There's that
Yes.
one character on Shrinking who would say, everything goes my way.
Yeah. Mhm.
I've adopted that.
Yeah.
And anytime I'm feeling anything, I just go, nope, everything goes my way.
Good.
And I'll say, and sometimes I'll follow it up with, I'm the luckiest person I know.
Yeah.
Everything
Great.
goes my way. I am the luckiest person I know. And so, yeah, man, if anything's difficult, it's just, I guess, trying to maintain that mindset all the time.
You're
But
just casting spells, man.
yeah,
You're casting vision over your life and what you're doing. It's a lot of people that they'll say when they don't win a raffle, this always happens to me, and then it continues to happen,
yes,
right? Or
yes,
or like I'm just so tired of being, and that continues to happen. So what you're doing though is like making way. This is a little boo boo, and everybody knows on the podcast I'm a little boo boo. I love it. But this is where I vibrate at. This is where I lean
yeah,
into, where it's
yeah,
kind of like I want to be clear. So if other people are doing it, you are also casting vision over your life. You know what I mean? And provisions as well. And so the thing is, do it. And people might say, well, DaJuan, I have evidence that it always doesn't happen. And what I'm going to say to you is try collecting evidence the other way now, because
yeah,
you already have that pile of poo that is not going to happen. What I would love for you to do is become a detective and now start thinking to yourself, now I'm just going to look for why things go my way. And it's like, oh my gosh, and look for the littlest things.
yes,
Be great.
yes.
Here's what I always say. You haven't heard me say this one. Be grateful small.
Mm,
because everybody's looking for the big thing.
Yes.
Like, be grateful when you get a quarter or a quarter in the meter, some time in the meter. Be grateful when a butterfly flew across your face and it didn't die. Like, do you know what I mean? Or something like that. Be grateful small, and you just start to, get a lot of those, and compound it, and then you get more. That's my thing. I love.
Yeah. I
See,
love
he
it.
snuck it in there. He knew I was gonna go.
I love it. I know, man. Listen, I love it. You are a self-fulfilling prophecy. So prophesize wisely.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that. Love, love, love. Have you ever wanted to quit?
No.
I don't think we've talked.
No. No, I don't.
Mm,
To me, I don't understand that.
okay.
Like there was the period, obviously, where I was terrified to actually take action,
Hmm.
but that desire was never dulled and never died. And I mean, listen, man. My friend Phil loves to tell me all the time. My friend Phil is an entertainment attorney, and he loves to tell me all the time. Do you realize that what you've done already? And listen, my body of work. If I wanted to compare and steal my joy, and I
Mm,
said, hey, let me put my resume up against DaJuan's, I could do that. But he loves to tell me all the time. Do you realize what percentage of people get to do what you've already done? And when I look at it that way, I'm like, holy shit. You're
yeah.
right, dude. There are so many people who come to this town and never do anything. And they
Yeah.
burn out, they wash out, they go home, they do whatever. And then there are people who get a little bit and then don't get anything for a long time and give up or whatever it is. But no, man, stay in the game, keep marching. Like just,
Yeah.
you know, I never want, I honestly cannot entertain the idea of quitting. It doesn't make sense to me.
I never say, people say I'm never going to work again. That's something that never comes out of my mouth. I might
Yeah,
not know when I'm going to be on a set
that's
again,
right.
but
That's
I'm
right.
never like, oh, I'm washed up. I'm never going to work again. I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't know when I'm going to be on set again, but you know what I mean? I'm hoping it's really, really soon, but I never
yeah.
say stuff like that when I get pretty low on that. What's your definition of success?
This,
Mm,
this, being able to have this conversation with you. I
yeah.
mean, honestly, this moment. I mean, listen, man. We've talked about this for a couple years, ever since we had coffee up in Hollywood, um, and the fact that you and other people, can see in me what I've always felt was in me, but whether I was too afraid to acknowledge it or own it or whatever. Um, what else is there? I mean,
Mm,
this is a beautiful moment to me. And listen, I'll tell you this. This is my favorite part of my career so far in my life. The other day, this is true. This is literally just the other day. How old is my niece? 11, I think. I get a text from her, and it's my IMDb page, and her message says, "You're Googleable."
yeah.
And I thought that was so funny. And then she didn't say anything else. And then the next day I get another text from her saying, and I guess my sister must have said to her, you should tell him why you sent him that. But she sends me another text saying, I told my friend at school that you were on The Rookie and she didn't believe me, so I had to show her.
Isn't that great?
And I
Isn't that
texted
great?
my sister and I said this, and I took a screenshot of the whole text message and I said, this is what I got today. And I said, I got to tell you, this is the highlight of my career right now. That is success to me. My 11-year-old niece said to her friend in Missouri, oh, you don't believe me? Check this out. My uncle is here. you
Yeah.
know, like,
Yeah.
dude, I mean, how cool is that? How cool is that? If I was an 11-year-old kid, I would have killed to have something where I could be like, oh no, my uncle's on TV doing this, Like,
Yeah.
how cool.
It's so
That's
interesting.
success, dude.
That is
That's
success.
success, right?
That is success. I'm sharing a quick story because it's just like really funny. It's just that my sons, when I was on Bosch, my sons, I was like, why don't you guys come to the set? I want you guys to see what dad does. It's so fun and stuff like that. And my older son looked at me and he said, is anybody famous going to be there? I said, me, your dad. And he said, no. He said, no, 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 like Ant-Man. And I was just like, oh, I can't do anything with that.
Like Ant-Man.
Like it's so
Yeah.
funny. Like
You didn't have Paul Rudd guest star
I
in that
didn't, I
day?
didn't, I didn't. I need a niece in Missouri who will like take me and love me like more because my sons are just not. They're not cutting it. They're like this guy, Dad. So it's really great. I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. You are a very calming presence in our
Oh,
industry, in my life as well.
thanks, man.
And I think you are, and other actors that you happen to be in their circles as well. I always think about it because I never see you in like the same circle three times. Like you're like you're very interesting. And now that I know you offline, I'm gonna ask you if you're not in the same circle three times, are you hiding? Are you
Ah,
hiding?
mm,
you know
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
think about that, because I was just thinking about, like, as you do show pictures, I haven't seen you. Like, I was just thinking about, I think I saw you in Larchmont Dads, and then I was like, oh, I never
Oh,
see that.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
you're
yeah,
moving around, but it's going to be really interesting because I think your next couple of steps in these next couple of years, John, are going to be critical for what
yeah.
you're doing because you
Mm,
have laid some great foundation. And this is when, everybody listen up for me. This is when your paradigm, this is when your gremlin, this is when your fear starts to come up a lot more. And it will have you rely on old things like that fear, like that hiding,
mm,
like that I'm not good enough. And so some of that might be if you're popping around all these different places and not sitting in one and being in one and doing that, and whatever that means. This could be shit
mm.
talk, but I was just called to tell you all of this. So
Okay.
just to say that. So you take that for
No,
don't take
I
that.
receive it, brother. I appreciate it. Listen, man. You know what? Listen, man. This is the kind of stuff that we need to say to one another more often
Mm,
because that's a good friend. That is a
mm,
good friend saying, "Hey, bro, you may or may not need this, but I see this potential. I want you to be aware of it
yeah.
because I can see it, and I can go instead of being like, fuck you, DaJuan. What are you talking about? I'm good, bro.
Yeah.
I'm good. I can go, okay, hey, thanks, man.
Mm.
I'm gonna put that in my mind so I can be aware and I can look out for it. But we need that. We don't think I think people want to walk around too much and not hurt each other's feelings or worry about, upsetting somebody else. But bro, that is
So
that
much love.
is
So much
that is
love.
yeah, that is something right there. Yeah.
All right, John. Thank you so very much for coming in. You're so good at this. We'll talk soon. We'll have you back.
I love it. I love it.
I had to let go of what I thought the dream was supposed to be. John said that, something a little bit like that during our talk. I might have misquoted it, but he said something like, I had to let go of what I thought the dream was supposed to be. And, oh man. And I knew that had to be the D12 shot. I knew it. Because that one sat in my chest for a while. And because nobody talks about that part. The grief, the quiet sadness of realizing the version of your dream you've been chasing might not actually fit anymore. And I remember this. I remember this when this happened, when I really had to stop and just like reimagine or redream all of this. But I guess it could be bigger, or it could be smaller, it could be harder, it could be easier, all that stuff. I don't know. It just didn't fit anymore. And like I said, I remember that. You get to that job, you get that rep, you get on set, and still something feels off. And I'm getting chills even talking about this. This was me between season 1 and 2 of Bosch. I remember it. By the way, when I got what everyone was out there talking about, I was recurring on one of these big shows for me at the time, and then I still felt off. And that moment, that's the moment in that in-between phase is when I created Think Bigger Coaching. So I'm not saying there isn't something amazing that could happen in these moments. And that, I said the grief and the quiet sadness, that's true. But I am saying that nobody really talks about that. Nobody does. All right, I'm off topic a little bit. Back to John. You're not ungrateful, but you're also not lit up that way you thought you'd be. And that's confusing. I got to say, that's confusing, especially when everyone around you is saying, you're doing it. At least you're working. At least you're booking. At least you're acting. You made it. All of that stuff. But inside, you just feel tired. And here's the truth. Sometimes the dream has to die so something real can live. Sometimes the dream has to die so something real can live, or something new can live. How about that? Not that the old dream, was shaped by fear or people pleasing or proving something, but the new one, the one that was dreamt through the truth of this business, from you scraping your knee on the sidewalk of Paramount, from you getting told by so many, times that it hurts, so many times to no, so many times that it hurts, from you getting that call to star opposite your favorite actor, from you quietly having that thought after a huge success. I think I can really do this. Yeah. Letting go hurts because it's not just a plan you're releasing. It's also a version of yourself you built your identity around. But here's what Jon reminded me. That release, that surrender, it's not failure. It's freedom. The changing of the dream also isn't failure. It's stepping into your new identity. And you know what I say, sometimes those manifestations, you got to let go and step into a new identity of yourself. It's stepping intentionally. It's the beginning of something deeper. You're not just that little kid who dreamt of working at Lionsgate on a 3-picture deal anymore. Now you know how the industry works and you can plan accordingly. You can dream bigger. Hold up. You can think bigger. So if you've been feeling the weight of that lately, like maybe what you've been chasing isn't quite what you want anymore. Like you're working, but you're not connected. That's not crisis. That's clarity. And clarity sometimes is scary. And clarity sometimes is sacred. So take a breath. Take a beat. Ask yourself what you really want now, not before, what you really want now. With everything you've learned, with everything you've survived, with everything you've outgrown, because joy isn't just a luxury in this career. It's a compass. Come on, somebody. Oh, you already know what I'm going to say. I love these D12 shows. I love that I get to talk straight to you. Don't quit. Don't get out of line. Borrow my faith in you. And above all else, I always say else. And above all else, hold the vision, not the circumstance. I'll see you next week. I'll see you at the retreat. I'll see you. Please let me know. Keep it going. This is so good. Whew. Okay. Talk to you soon.